What do you get when you cross a world-class striker with the swagger of a showman and the reflexes of a video game boss? You get Michael Venom Page, the most unpredictable fighter in the cage. For 12 years, this man has been clowning, taunting, and knocking out his opponents, then dancing over their unconscious bodies. And now, after conquering almost every league on Earth, he's come for the UFC's brightest stars. Let's rewind and dive into the wild ride of MVP, from his childhood dojo days to his jaw-dropping UFC debut. Michael Page was practically born into martial arts. Raised in London, he grew up in a household of 9 siblings, all trained in combat sports. His parents were kung fu masters, and from the moment he could sit upright in a stroller, he was in the gym. By 5 years old, he was competing in kickboxing tournaments. At 8, he was flying to Germany to fight. At 12, he beat seasoned fighters at the US Open in Orlando, dodging punches he didn't even see. He just felt where to be. And by 13, his dad gave him the green light to fight adults. Yes, adults. And he dominated them. At his peak, young Michael Page once fought in an astonishing 22 matches in a single day, across 5 different categories, and walked away victorious in every single one. That wasn't just talent. That was grit, preparation, and a mental edge that separated him from every other kid on the mat. His training wasn't just about kicks and punches. His father, a seasoned martial artist himself, made sure Michael understood the philosophy behind every move. Discipline was the foundation. Respect was non-negotiable. Strategy was everything. Michael didn't just outwork his peers. He outthought them. He treated every sparring session like a chess match, reading his opponents, predicting their next move before they even made it. It was like he had a built-in fight IQ. By his late teens, he had already checked off more milestones than most martial artists could dream of. Titles, trophies, accolades, you name it. But something was missing. He wasn't satisfied just being the best. He wanted to stand out, to leave people in awe. That's when the performer in him started to rise. He wasn't just looking to win. He wanted to entertain. So he turned to the greats. He studied Anderson Silva's fluid striking, imitated Michael Jackson's dance moves, rewatched Jackie Chan's wild stunts and comic timing. Then he began fusing it all into his own unique fighting style, a style that looked more like a kung fu movie than a kickboxing match. A style that screamed showmanship. And it worked. MVP became a magnet for attention in the semi-contact kickboxing world, where one clean strike could end a bout. He dominated, but eventually the amateur scene became too easy, too repetitive. And more importantly, it didn't pay the bills. It was time for a new challenge, a bigger stage, and for MVP, that meant MMA. Michael saw MMA as the perfect playground for his creativity, a place where he could combine his precision striking with his natural flair. And let's not forget, he already had the reflexes, the timing, and the crowd-pleasing charisma. All he needed was the platform. In 2011, Michael Page joined London Shootfighters, a legendary gym known for shaping elite fighters. It was a sharp contrast to his kung fu roots, but he embraced the grind. He worked on his wrestling, his jiu-jitsu, and cage control, and within months, he had his first MMA bout. His debut in 2012? A spinning kick knockout, mid-laugh with enough time left to pose for photos. A literal photo finish. He made it look easy. And that wasn't a fluke. He kept winning. By knockouts, submissions, you name it. But every fight came with the signature MVP touch, the dance moves, the taunting, and that smug smirk. Fans were divided. Some called him the next Anderson Silva. Others said he was a cocky sideshow. MVP didn't care. "I think it's more important to entertain," he said. "People pay to see us. We should put on a show." And he lived by that. MVP knew how to sell a fight, not just fight it. He brought flair back to MMA, a sport that often took itself too seriously. Michael signed with both Bellator MMA and India's Super Fight League. His global domination had begun. In India, he dismantled an undefeated Egyptian fighter with footwork so slick it looked like CGI. In Bellator, he made a highlight reel debut with a clean KO over Ryan Sanders. Then came the real tests. He faced Ricky Rainey, a dangerous striker with a solid 9-2 record. MVP? Barely broke a sweat. He toyed with Rainey, slipped punches with ease, then landed a precision shot that dropped him flat. Page didn't just celebrate, he performed. With a theatrical bow to the crowd, he reminded everyone this wasn't just a fight. It was his stage. Then came Evangelista Cyborg Santos, a Brazilian veteran known for his granite chin and relentless pressure. But MVP wasn't intimidated. Mid-fight, he launched a perfectly timed flying knee that collided flush with Santos' skull. The impact was so devastating, doctors later revealed the damage was severe. Cyborg's skull was literally shattered, requiring metal plates to repair. It was one of the most savage finishes in MMA history. And what did MVP do after landing that life-altering strike? He rolled a Pokéball across the canvas, pretending to catch his down opponent like a wild Pokémon. On live television, fans erupted. The clip went viral. Critics were furious. But everyone was talking about Michael Page. As his highlight reel grew, so did the backlash. Detractors claimed Bellator was protecting him, saying he'd never faced elite competition. But the numbers didn't lie. Page was selling out shows, racking up knockouts, and pulling millions of views. People didn't just watch his fights, they replayed them. Then came Fernando Gonzalez, a gritty brawler who slowed the pace to a crawl. No flash, no chaos, just footwork and clinches. Page won, but the magic felt muted. And fans? They wanted the MVP spectacle back. So did Page. He kept calling out Paul Daley, eager to settle the score and prove himself against one of the UK's most dangerous strikers. But Daley kept dodging. No contracts, no confirmations, just tension. When Daley finally acknowledged MVP, it wasn't with a handshake or a press conference. It was through a cage-side shouting match that nearly turned physical. Still, Bellator booked Daley against someone else, and MVP was left in limbo. Page was ready, he was healthy, he was one of Bellator's biggest stars, but he had no fight lined up. Weeks turned into months. Frustrated but determined, MVP kept himself busy, dabbling in professional boxing, doing interviews, training non-stop, but his MMA momentum had hit a wall. Now, the story's taken a turn. Michael Venom Page, the flashy bred with knockout power and cartoon charisma, has finally made his way to the UFC, the sport's grandest stage. Will his chaotic, unpredictable styles translate against elite-level opponents? Or is this where the magic runs out? The whole world's watching. Well, judging from his debut, MVP hasn't missed a beat. In his UFC debut, Michael Venom Page brought every ounce of flair and precision fans had come to expect, and more. He walked into the octagon with that same calm swagger, unbothered by the bright lights, the pressure, or the doubters. His timing was razor sharp, his movement electric, and his strikes still explosive. Right from the opening bell, he dictated the pace. MVP floated around the cage like a phantom, making elite-level defense look like second nature. He slipped punches with minimal effort, countered with laser accuracy, and delivered a clinic in controlled chaos. The crowd was split down the middle. Some roared with excitement, others booed, unsure if they were watching brilliance or arrogance. But one thing was clear: nobody could look away. It wasn't just a fight, it was a performance. And once again, MVP made the cage his stage. Now, with one UFC win in the books, Page is already calling out big names. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, Michel Pereira, even teasing a run for the title. Some fans think he's biting off more than he can chew. Others believe he's been ready for this level all along. Either way, the message is loud and clear. Michael Page is here to shake things up. Love him or hate him, Michael Venom Page is one of the most unique fighters on the planet. A master showman, a tactical genius, and a highlight reel waiting to happen. He's walked through leagues, broken records, and danced over bodies. And now, with the UFC spotlight on him, the world's about to find out if MVP can truly be the face of MMA. Subscribe for more fight stories, knockout moments, and career deep dives right here.